Living gently and peacefully, a Buddhist way. Have you ever felt like the world is moving too fast for your soul to catch up, like you're running, not towards something, but away from a quiet truth you're afraid to face? In this age of constant noise, endless scrolling, and schedules packed tighter than the air we breathe, there's a subtle violence we've learned to call normal. We rush, we compare, we grasp, we perform, and somewhere along the way, we forget the most radical, most rebellious act you could possibly offer the world today: a gentle heart, not a passive one, not a naive or fragile one, but a heart trained in stillness, tempered by wisdom, and anchored in compassion. Buddhism does not begin with fireworks. It begins with silence. It doesn't promise success, praise, or comfort. It offers something deeper: a return to yourself, to a self that doesn't need to prove, dominate, or defend, a self that knows peace not as a reward, but as a birthright. In a world where speed is power, slowness becomes sacred, where shouting is influence, silence becomes luminous. What if the strength we truly need isn't found in how loud we speak, but in how deeply we listen? What if the power to change the world doesn't begin with controlling others, but with softening our own hearts? There's an old Zen story. A monk once asked his master, "What is the path to peace?" The master replied, "Let go of the war inside you." No elaboration, no explanation, just that, because the truth is, the world doesn't need more warriors of opinion, it needs guardians of inner peace. It needs people who dare to move through life with kindness, not calculation, with presence, not performance. It needs you, not the you that's curated online, not the you that's chasing 10,000 desires, but the you who knows how to sit in a quiet room with nothing but your breath and still feel whole. This isn't a luxury. It's not just for monks or people with perfect lives. This is survival, because when we forget how to be gentle, we begin to destroy. Slowly, we destroy our health, our relationships, our sense of purpose. We turn into machines in human skin, but deep within us, beneath the tension, beneath the noise, is a still, sacred space that's never been broken. And the path back is simple. It begins with one breath, one conscious breath, in, out, here. Now, this chapter, this journey you're about to begin, is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been, before the world told you to be someone else. So I invite you to walk with me, not in haste, but in awareness, not toward achievement, but toward freedom, because you don't need to climb mountains to find peace. You just need to sit still enough to hear it rising within you. The gentle heart isn't weak, it's the most powerful force you'll ever know, and now, more than ever, the world needs it. The world needs you. If peace is our true nature, then why does it feel so far away? Why, even in moments of success, does our chest still tighten, our minds still race, our sleep still feel restless? Why is it that with all our progress, our hearts feel heavier than ever? The Buddha's first teaching didn't begin with joy, it began with an honest admission: there is suffering. Not as a pessimistic complaint, but as a mirror we've spent lifetimes avoiding. He wasn't trying to scare us, he was trying to wake us, because how can we end our suffering if we never stop to look at where it comes from? In the ancient texts, the Buddha describes what's called the three poisons: desire, aversion, delusion. These are the roots of our turmoil. We crave what we don't have, we push away what we don't like, and we live under the illusion that any of it will make us whole. There once was a man who spent his life chasing wealth, not because he was greedy, but because he thought money would finally bring peace. And when he became rich, he couldn't sleep, he couldn't trust his friends, he couldn't stop working, because now he feared losing it all. He built a golden prison and locked himself inside. We do this, too, maybe not with money, but with our identities, relationships, status, image. We cling to things, and call it security. We avoid discomfort, and call it peace. We chase endlessly, and call it progress. But none of it touches the ache inside. Here's the secret that changed my life: suffering isn't always loud, it doesn't always look like crying or chaos. Sometimes, it's hidden beneath a smile, a promotion, a busy schedule. Sometimes, it's in the quiet moments, when everything is fine, but your soul whispers, this isn't it. And yet, we keep going. Why? Because no one taught us to stop. No one told us that stillness is allowed, that discomfort isn't danger, that healing begins, not with more effort, but with awareness. The Buddha didn't just diagnose suffering, he revealed its cause, and once we see the cause clearly, we stop fighting the wrong battles. We stop blaming the world for our unrest. We stop trying to fix everything outside, while ignoring the fire within. We begin, instead, to see, to sit with the ache. To breathe with the fear, to understand that behind every craving is a deeper longing, to feel safe, to feel whole, to feel at peace. But we've been looking in all the wrong places. True peace is not the absence of pain, it's the presence of wisdom. It's the ability to sit with life as it is, without needing to escape, control, or numb it. When you understand suffering, you don't just survive life, you awaken in it, and that awakening is where freedom begins. Imagine this, you're walking through a forest, the leaves whisper with the wind, each step presses softly into the earth. You hear your breath, feel the air on your skin, and suddenly, you realize, you are truly here, not thinking about tomorrow, not regretting yesterday, just here. This is mindfulness, and in a world drowning in distractions, mindfulness isn't just a practice, it's a revolution. We live most of our lives somewhere else. We eat while scrolling, we walk while worrying, we speak while planning what to say next, and even when we rest, our minds are running. Is it any wonder we feel exhausted? Even when nothing big has happened, we are not tired from doing too much. We are tired from being pulled in 1,000 directions at once. But here's the gift the Buddha left for us: the present moment is enough. Mindfulness is not a buzzword, it's not just meditation, it's not about sitting on a cushion for hours, it's a way of walking through life, awake. The Buddha taught, when walking, know that you are walking; when sitting, know that you are sitting; when breathing, know that you are breathing. So simple, it almost sounds like poetry, but this simple awareness is the doorway to peace. There's a story of a Zen master who was asked by a student, "Master, how do you practice mindfulness?" The master smiled gently and said, "When I eat, I eat. When I walk, I walk. When I sleep, I sleep." The student was confused. "Isn't that what everyone does?" The master replied, "No, when you eat, you are thinking about work; when you walk, you are thinking about yesterday; when you sleep, you are still worrying." Mindfulness is not doing more, it's doing less, but doing it completely. Imagine if you drank a cup of tea, without your phone, without rushing, just sitting, feeling the warmth, tasting each sip like it was the first. That's not small, that's sacred. Mindfulness is gentle, but it is not weak. It brings you back to the only moment that is real, this one, right now. And here's the miracle: when you're truly present, you begin to see beauty you've been walking past for years. The smile of a stranger, the sound of the rain, the way sunlight paints gold on your windowsill, and more than anything, you begin to feel you again, not the distracted, reactive, fragmented self, but the whole, grounded, steady self, the self that knows how to breathe with life, instead of struggling against it. With mindfulness, your steps become softer, but your presence becomes stronger. You no longer rush through life, you arrive in it. You no longer live as a storm, you become the calm inside it, because every moment fully lived is a seed of peace planted in the garden of your being, and the more you practice, the more those seeds grow, into joy, into clarity, into a freedom that no one can take from you. So walk gently, breathe deeply, return to now, because this moment is your home. What if the greatest strength wasn't in how hard you could push, but in how gently you could hold? We live in a world that celebrates power, speed, force, achievement, where the loudest voices often drown out the softest whispers, where we're taught to be tough, to never show weakness, to keep climbing, to keep striving. And yet, in the quiet spaces of our hearts, we know that there's something more. The Buddha's teachings weren't about forcing change. They were about finding the courage to be, to stand in the face of life's difficulties, and let them be, to embrace the messiness of the world, without becoming consumed by it. This is where true strength lies, not in rigid control, but in the ability to remain soft, in the midst of challenge. In the Zen tradition, there's a story of a bamboo tree. The bamboo, strong and tall, stands in the fierce winds of a storm. It doesn't break, it doesn't resist. Instead, it bends. The bamboo bends, not because it's weak, but because it knows that strength comes from flexibility. It knows that the power of the storm isn't defeated by force, but by yielding. And this is the paradox of gentleness. It takes far more courage to soften than to harden. Imagine this: you're faced with a conflict, an argument, a disagreement. Your instinct is to fight back, to prove your point, to win. But there's another way. A softer way. Instead of raising your voice, you lower it. Instead of tightening your grip, you open your hands. Instead of defending yourself, you listen. In that moment, you don't need to conquer, you need only to be, and that's when the real magic happens. Gentleness is not a weakness. Gentleness is the strength to let go, when everything inside you says to cling. Gentleness is the courage to forgive, when the world says you should hold a grudge. Gentleness is the power to stay calm, when everyone else is losing their heads. And when you embrace gentleness, you begin to realize something profound: the strongest people are the ones who are comfortable with their vulnerability. They know that their true power comes not from invincibility, but from acceptance, from understanding that it's okay to be imperfect, to be broken, to be human. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful concept called compassion. It means suffering with, not pushing it away, not pretending it doesn't exist, but sitting with it, feeling it, and understanding it, without judgment. Compassion isn't just for others, it's for ourselves, too. It's the courage to be soft, with our own wounds, our own flaws, our own fears. You see, when you embrace gentleness, you become like the bamboo, unshakable, not because you resist life's storms, but because you know how to bend. And in bending, you discover that life's true strength doesn't come from fighting the flow, but from learning to dance with it. So be gentle, not because you're weak, but because you have the courage to trust that gentleness holds a power that can move mountains. And sometimes, just sometimes, that power can change the world. Imagine this for a moment: you're holding a glass of water. The glass is precious, it's fragile, beautiful, and as you hold it, you begin to feel its weight, the subtle strain in your fingers, the tension in your hand. It's not much, but it's there, a quiet discomfort that slowly builds. Now, imagine releasing the glass, not throwing it away, but simply letting it go. You release the tension, and in that moment, there's peace. Not because you've given up the glass, but because you've freed yourself from the weight of holding on. This is the essence of letting go. We often hold on so tightly to everything: our possessions, our goals, our fears, even our identities. But what we fail to see is that holding on is the very thing that keeps us stuck, keeps us bound, keeps us from living freely. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called attachment. It's the belief that something, someone, or some outcome can complete us, and so, we hold on, gripping tighter and tighter, believing that if we just hang on long enough, we will find peace. But here's the paradox: the more we try to control, the more control we lose. Letting go is not about giving up, it's about releasing. You see, control is an illusion. We can't control the weather, the future, other people's actions. And yet, we cling to the idea that we can. We believe that by holding tight, we will make life work our way. But here's the truth: life is not something to control, life is something to flow with. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we become attached to things, ideas, and outcomes. We want things to be a certain way, and when they aren't, we feel frustrated, disappointed, even lost. But imagine for a moment that you don't need to control life. What would it feel like to release the need to always be right, to always have the answers, to always be in charge? True freedom is the freedom of letting go. It's the freedom of no longer needing to cling to what you think you should be, or what you think you should have. It's the freedom of trusting that everything will unfold as it's meant to, and that you can still be okay, even if you don't have control. When you release the need to control, you open yourself to life's flow. You stop fighting against the current, and instead, you learn to swim with it. This doesn't mean being passive, it means trusting. Trusting that the universe has its own rhythm, and that your path will unfold, even when you don't know what's next. Letting go is not weakness, it is strength. It takes great courage to step back, to surrender the need for control, to trust that life will take care of itself, and in doing so, you create space for peace to enter your life. In every moment, we have a choice. We can grip tightly to the things that bind us, or we can let go, and find freedom. It's like holding the glass. You can hold on tight, but the more you grip, the more tension you create. Letting go, on the other hand, doesn't take away the glass, it just allows you to hold it gently, without the weight. This is the power of letting go. You don't lose anything, you gain everything, a peace that comes from within, a peace that comes from knowing you are not defined by what you hold on to, but by how freely you can live. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to, what are you trying to control, and what might happen if you released it, just for a moment. Let go, and you will find that peace was never far away, it was always waiting for you, in the stillness of release. In a world that moves fast, where the noise never seems to stop, it's easy to forget one of life's most precious truths. Happiness isn't something we chase. We don't need to search for it in distant places, in grand accomplishments, or in what we don't have. It's not buried in tomorrow's promises, or yesterday's regrets. It's here, right now. This is the art of simple living, a life where joy is found not in more, but in less. In Buddhism, there's a concept called contentment. It's the practice of being satisfied with what we have, finding peace in simplicity, and letting go of the constant desire for more things, more recognition, more achievements. Contentment teaches us to look at the world not as something to conquer, but as something to embrace in its fullness, just as it is. We are constantly told that happiness is just around the corner, in the next promotion, in the bigger house, in the next milestone. But the truth is, when we live in a state of always wanting more, we never truly feel fulfilled. We're always chasing, we're always striving, we're always looking for something else. But what if the secret to happiness was not in the next thing, but in the moment we're already in? What if, instead of reaching forward, we stopped and looked around, finding beauty in the small things, the soft rustle of leaves, the taste of a warm meal, the quiet peace of sitting still? Simplicity isn't about having less, it's about wanting less. In Buddhism, simplicity is seen as a path to inner peace. It's about stripping away the distractions, the clutter, not just in our physical spaces, but in our minds. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness. The more you do, the more you have, the more you achieve, the better. But what we fail to realize is that this constant doing often robs us of the beauty of simply being. The more we seek, the more we push ourselves. The more we accumulate, the further we get from the peace we crave, and so we rush, we chase, we demand more from ourselves and the world around us. We forget how to pause. But here's the truth: happiness comes when we stop chasing, when we stop accumulating, when we stop measuring our worth by how much we do. True joy arises when we allow ourselves to slow down, to take a deep breath, and to simply be. Buddha once said, "To live a simple life is to live with wisdom." In simplicity, we find clarity. When we strip away the excess, we begin to see what truly matters. We begin to appreciate the small moments that once passed us by unnoticed, the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the sound of laughter, the peace in a quiet room. This is the magic of simplicity. It's not a deprivation, but a return to the essentials, a return to the moments that truly bring us joy. And when we embrace this simplicity, we discover that it holds more than enough love, more than enough peace, more than enough happiness. Let's take a moment right now. Close your eyes, if you can, take a deep breath, and just feel the air fill your lungs. Notice how it feels to breathe, the sensation of life, right here, right now. In this simple act of breathing, we are connected to the essence of life itself. This is simplicity. This is contentment. It's not about what we have or don't have. It's not about how much we do. It's about how much we appreciate what is already here. And when we can learn to appreciate what's in front of us, we realize that everything we need is already present, and in that realization, we find peace. Simplicity isn't the absence of things, it's the presence of awareness, it's the presence of being. And when we make room for this simple awareness, we begin to realize that happiness is already within us. We don't need to search for it, we just need to stop and notice. In a world that celebrates loudness, where success is measured by how much we achieve, how much we have, and how fast we move, there's a quieter, deeper truth. Your purpose is not something to be found outside of yourself, it's something to be discovered within. We spend so much time chasing after life's promises, the next goal, the next achievement, the next big moment, and in doing so, we forget the one truth that can set us free. Your true self is not something you have to chase, it's already within you, waiting to be uncovered. The path of Buddhism teaches us that true happiness and fulfillment don't come from external success or material wealth, they come from the deep understanding of who we truly are. When we are so busy doing, so consumed by the noise and rush of the world, we lose touch with ourselves, we lose touch with the quiet, still part of us that has always known our purpose, and so, we wander, we search, we strive. But what if the key to finding your purpose is not about chasing it at all? What if the key is simply to stop, to pause, to sit in silence and listen, in the stillness, in the quiet moments? We reconnect with ourselves, we rediscover the truth that we've always known. We are enough, we are whole, we are already aligned with the purpose we seek. The Buddha taught that the path to true peace begins with self-awareness, with the ability to be present with ourselves, to stop running, and to begin truly listening. The journey back to yourself begins with acceptance. It's about accepting who you are, without needing to prove yourself to anyone. It's about letting go of the image you've tried to project, and embracing the truth of who you are beneath the surface. When you stop striving for external validation, you open up the space to discover what truly makes you whole. This journey back to yourself is not an outward one, it's inward. It's the path of quiet living, where the external noise fades away, and the internal wisdom rises to the surface. The practice of mindfulness is the gateway to this journey. It's the art of paying attention to the present moment, without judgment, without rushing. It's about being fully present in whatever you are doing, whether it's washing dishes, walking in the park, or simply breathing. In these quiet moments of mindfulness, you reconnect with your essence, and in doing so, you rediscover your purpose. In Buddhism, there's a powerful teaching called right intention. This principle guides us to live with a clear heart and mind, free from distractions and desires. When we align our intentions with our deeper values, when we live with integrity and honesty, we naturally find our path. It's not something we have to force or chase, it emerges when we stop trying to control everything, and simply live with purpose. Living quietly is not about doing less. It's about being more, being present, being aware, being true to yourself in every moment. When we live in this way, we begin to find that our purpose is not a distant goal, but a daily experience. It's found in the choices we make, in the way we treat others, in the way we show up for ourselves. And here's the beauty of quiet living, in its simplicity, we find clarity. We no longer feel the need to chase after fleeting moments of success. We realize that every moment, even the quiet ones, is a part of the greater journey. We begin to see that we don't need to do more to be more, we are already enough. The journey back to yourself is a path of returning to the truth within you, to the peace that is always there, waiting for you to notice it, in the stillness. In the simplicity of your own being, you will find the purpose you have been seeking. So, I invite you to take this moment of quiet, to ask yourself, what is my true purpose? Who am I beneath all the noise? And what would it feel like to live each day with that purpose in mind? In this journey back to yourself, you will find that everything you've ever been searching for was always here, within you, waiting to be discovered.